दादू बहुत देर से आंख बंद किए हुए बैठे हैं।
चुप करके बैठ।
टपक गए तो बनारस से अच्छी कोई जगह नहीं है।
शट अप।
पीकू,
हाँ?
अरे फ्लाश में पानी नहीं है।
Semi-liquid motion first, then 2 days of gas and constipation. What should I do? ये कोई मैसेज होता है देने के लिए ऑफिस में?
हाँ?
सुबह की धूप पे इसी की दस्तखत है।
ऐसे वॉक करने से कुछ नहीं होगा। जाके बैठिए, बाथरूम में हो जाएगी।
I know my sister better or you.
आपको ना कॉन्स्टिपेशन यहाँ पर है, यहाँ पर नहीं।
We live in a society, बाबा, किसी से तो अच्छा रिलेशन बना के रखना पड़ेगा।
कंजूस, हम लोग कंजूस है।
हेलो पीकू।
हाय।
भाई कलकत्ता जाना है, कौन जाएगा? अरे दिल की बुरी नहीं है वो। पीकू, पीकू।
What?
कोई ड्राइवर ही रेडी नहीं है।
You are going to take us?
अरे ये भी तो जाएगा।
हम चले बहारों में, गुनगुनाती राहों में, धड़कने भी तेज हैं।
मेरे समझ में नहीं आ रहा कि बेकार में इमोशनल होकर फंस तो नहीं गया मैं ये चिकची के बाप बेटी के बीच में।
क्यों तोड़ा सोचता है कि हम तुम्हारे ऊपर एक बटन है?
बटन होते आप तो दिल्ली के अंदर बैठे होते, कलकत्ता लेके नहीं जाती वो आपको।
शब्दों के पहाड़ों पे लिखी
You know वो मेरे ऊपर डिपेंडेंट है। तो अगर किसी को मुझसे शादी करनी है तो
तुम्हारे 90 साल के बच्चे को साथ में अडॉप्ट करना पड़ेगा।
बिल्कुल करोगे।
माथा खराब नहीं है मेरा।
इंसान का इमोशन उसका मोशन के साथ जुड़ा हुआ है।
कमाल है, आप हर बात को पेट से कैसे जोड़ देते हैं।
Hey, ball.
So welcome back for the last session of the day, and after that delightful trailer, all I can say is let's begin. So it's Shoojit Sircar, a journey in storytelling, and I would like to invite Anuradha SenGupta, who is our moderator for the day.
Watch the movie now, Shoojit, after this. I want to see it all over again. Okay, I'm delighted to see all of you guys here. To hear Shoojit Sircar take us through his journey in storytelling. We're going to discuss the 4 films that have been released, that we've seen. But you know, we're not going to start this conversation by talking about his films. We're going to start this conversation talking about somebody else's films. Shoojit, I believe that the one person who's had the most, or the biggest influence in your cinematic career and in your cinematic life is one of India's greatest storytellers and perhaps one of our greatest filmmakers. Do you want to remember where you first encountered his work?
Yeah, I mean, hi, good evening everybody again, sorry. Yes, he's been my mentor, teacher. I've not met him, I always wanted to meet him. So it goes like this. When I was in class 8th, my father takes me, I was in Barakpur, so in outside Calcutta. So my father was in Air Force, and he used to train pilots. So he takes me to we'll watch a film. And he takes me to watch this film, and we were watching the film, and I think I was bored of that film, and possibly I slept, I don't know, I came out, I don't remember anything. So that film was Pather Pachali. So then I shift to Delhi. So my class 11th students were taken to watch this film again in Delhi. And then I watch it again, and halfway through, I think most of our friends, we have walked out of that film. I said, what is this? So I had nothing to do with films, literature, art. I'm basically a footballer. So and then somehow I started doing theater, and I watched this film again in Delhi in this same International Film Festival, which used to happen in Shreveport. And that day, and I saw that film, and obviously something happened to me. And I kept watching it, and I was numb. I cried after watching that film. And then it became one of my favorite film of my lifetime. And I think still, I mean, whenever I feel low, or, you know, I just pick up Pather Pachali and Opur Shanshar by Mr. Ray, and watch those films. Because of its purity of its simplicity, of the storytelling, without being gimmick that we normally adopt in a filmmaking. And be simple and straight, and seeing a character the way he saw it, and brought so much of life to it, and I could relate. I could relate to Durga, I could relate to Oppu. I remember when still one of my best shot is when I see Oppu Shangshar, and in Oppu Shangshar, what's the English of Oppu Shangshar? I don't know what the, yeah. So and in Opur Shangshar, the last shot when the father comes back from Kolkata, and he's not seen his son since his birth, and he's now 4 years old, and he's going away, leaving him. He doesn't want to take him back, but something happens to him, and that last shot of him, the boy in his shoulder, and he's walking away. I howled in the theater, so it's like that. So that's sequence. So it's that kind of impact, and believe me, in all my films, I somehow try and see in his films what are there, and take influences from it, take references from it, and try adopt it and put it in my films.
I believe you brief your writers, you know, is it mandatory if I have to work with Shoojit Sircar, I will have to have seen Satyajit Ray's The Oppu trilogy, right?
Absolutely. So that's a condition. Even the actors also. I made a dialogue in the scene in Piku of Ray, and he's not seen, you know, Pather Pachali, which Deepika said, and I made sure Deepika's seen all the films. She's seen one of them, not all, but I think it's the basic of any film student who wants to come to films. His basic learning, if he is to watch Ray, for sure.
So tell me, how have you, besides the homage when you use it, when you refer to him in dialogue, but how do you channelize that kind of filmmaking? How have you done it? Is it in the music? Is it in the way you've constructed sets? Is it in the blocking?
Many things. First and foremost is casting. His castings are about absolutely real, absolutely from life. He's one of his famous actor, which he's one of my best actors, is Robi Ghosh. I don't know how many of you know.
He's a very famous comedian and a very good character.
I think he's one of my finest actors in Indian cinema, actually. So music, like in Piku, Piku's music was a lot influenced from Ray's music in films, in Oppu trilogy. And then, like in Piku, there are many scenes which is just doesn't overdo it, just leave it and the way it is, the characters are. So in Piku, when I went to the actors, they said, what is the story of the film? I said, there's no story in the film. So it is you three are talking, and the way the life goes, and we'll see where it goes. So in the beginning, they didn't know, I mean, what kind of film I'm going to make, this one. Because if you read the script, it's really dry and boring, because it's the same conversations are going on every day. Every moment, everything same, and So my brief to my writer, obviously was to watch these films, Ray films, and she watched all the Ray films, and obviously she loves the Ray films, and somewhere I think it comes. I think it's not too definite, but somewhere it comes.
Somewhere there is a reflection of that school of filmmaking.
Absolutely.
So you mentioned Piku's script. You said that if we were to see the script or to read the script, it would be, it's dry, and you'd wonder how it becomes the film that we've all seen and fallen in love with.
Right.
How does the story and script become the hero of the film, and how much time do you spend on it? Because you think it's easier to direct than to write. Is that correct?
No, I think it's easier to direct, exactly, than to write. But I think the writing process is the process where the film gets made, actually. So when you're visualizing with your writer what she's writing, especially for a film like Piku. So my brief to my writer was, at some point, audience should want, brief was that audience should be in the middle of this drawing room of this chaotic family, and they should be left there, and at some point, audience should get also irritated with this old man and said, "Yeah, shut up," So that's the situation I gave it to Juhi. So that kind of writing, even to my cameraman, the editor, and it's just chaotic. This old man is really irritating. So he irritates his daughter. He irritates his maid. He goes behind his maid what she is doing in the house. So it's because he's selfish and he just wants attention. So that's the character was. So process started from each day between me and Juhi on discussions. A lot of sequences in the film are from our real life. So I knew an old man who had in my family, who had an obsession for medical science. So if somebody comes in, okay, so your father was there, okay, fine. Then what did you do? Okay, they put a hole here. Yeah, I said, they drafted a hole there. And how did he spit it out? And he will go into all those. And I can feel that the person in front is not interested. I mean, he's not liking it.
So why is the script the hero? Explain that, because a lot of movies that we see, if we go to movies every Friday, the script is not really the hero.
See, because finally it's the script that tells you the story, and how effortlessly and how convincingly it gives you characters from real life. So, and if it is there in the script, believe me, each and everything in Piku, in Wiki Donor, and Yaha were absolutely scripted. So very few improvisation chances, just very few, we have improvised. So it was all scripted and visualized, okay, this is the way. But it becomes very difficult. That's why I'm saying for an actor, it becomes very difficult at some point to judge, okay, how to take this on. So then at that time, I tell them, okay, you just leave it to me, you just surrender. Okay, and then I started explaining, and then when they moved on, when they started seeing the scenes coming live, okay, Nimazara, they were enjoying the scenes. And when they were enjoying behind the monitors, we were also laughing, seeing those real scenes. So I think that's the connection which happens, which becomes really an effortless, process, where the script straight away becomes script. Say, for example, in the script, you saw that scene in the trailer where he's peeing and this his Man Friday is doing, he's making sound. And I've seen that, and very difficult to explain. And when I explained it to Mr. Bachchan, okay, this is we have to do. So he stared at me, and he said, "You really want me to do that?" I said, "Yeah, you do it." So then he said, "Are you sure?" I said, if it doesn't look hygienic enough, I'll cut it. So it was that way the conversation. So I'm saying that's the script which comes alive on screen. So that's why script is the absolutely hero.
So are you saying that a decent director, a reasonably good director, skilled director, if he or she had got the Wiki Donor script or the Piku script, they'd have pulled off the same film or a similar film? Are you being the humble director?
Obviously, how do I? Yeah, no, I don't know. I mean, say for example, let me tell you from Wiki Donor, there is one scene where a mother-in-law and daughter-in-law in the night are sitting and having a drink. So that became a cult scene, So a lot of Punjabi ladies would write me that thank you, कि आज के बाद हमको शादी में Coca-Cola नहीं देंगे at least, So that's how. So. How that scene came up, it's a quite interesting thing. So my mom, I was in Delhi, I had a theatre group, Act 1, and obviously we didn't have money when we were doing theatre. So in my terrace in the evening, a couple of our friends, we used to sit and talk about cinema and films and drink. So one night I came down and my friends had gone, and I see my mother was still, she was awake. And she was not sleeping properly because my dad was not well. So I asked her, do you want one small whiskey? So she said, no, what will your father say? So I said, no, you try, I'll give you in a steel glass. So I poured her in a steel glass and she had one drink. And next morning she woke up absolutely well, slept properly, and she was happy. And from then on, whenever I'm going out, she will just look for me, when are you coming back home? so, so, so that's the scene I narrated to Jui, and that's how it went into that, that's why
It
Vicky...
became an iconic cinematic moment.
Yes, that's how Vicky says, okay, when the girl asks, why don't you stop your mom drinks? I said, I mean, she sleeps well, she's old, I mean, she's not a drunkard, I mean, it's okay. So let be.
Shoojit, very skillfully you've sidestepped my question, which is that if any filmmaker, a good, decent filmmaker, gets a great script, will they make a great film?
It's difficult to say. I mean, I don't know about these two films, but sometimes I've seen good scripts, very, very good scripts, not handled well. But I've seen sometimes very average scripts, very handled superbly by the director.
Like, for instance, Aam Janta, Friday movie going public, very disappointed with Vikas Bahl and Shandar, and he's the guy who made Queen. So, the question is, and I'm not talking about apportioning credit and blame, but it's such a collaborative art, and with your inputs in writing.
See, it is.
And then as a filmmaker.
Yeah, but I think at the end of the day, obviously it's a director's medium. So a director knows exactly what's happening where, in what scene and what moment, what's the music. So I think it is, a director can see the film through. So it's absolutely your own vision. But where it lacks, where it works, I think you're talking mainly about the commercial aspect of it, how it works. Because in India, we normally talk on the commercial aspect of a film. If it works, then it works. But no, I think it all depends where the director takes it. So if this scripts were with somebody else, I don't know, because a writer-director tuning is also very important. Understanding what the writer has written there, because there are many interpretations which can go.
We have that clip of, the Piku blocking and I think the rehearsals. I think it might be interesting to see it.
These are all Piku blocking and rehearsals, just a few, we can talk about it. Very,
You can, because you said that you took us into the drawing room. You wanted us there to be irritated with this old man in our house.
Like this scene was very, very difficult because there was 8 people on the dining table and there were many things happening there. It was a full chaos dinner. I don't know when you have seen the scene. It was completely chaotic.
Camera be focus low.
I rehearsed for 2 days this particular scene.
How are you?
But I shot it in half an hour. I shot this in half an hour.
You can put the volume down.
So this particular scene was actually, when we shot, it was around pretty long, around 11-minute long scene when we actually performed. But in the film, we cut it down to almost 4.5, 5 minutes. So very difficult because, this kind of a choreography in a scene to shoot without feeling the camera, that was, especially in this scene, I got a comment from many people, that, and also my cameraman, the briefers, and the editor also, we should not feel at all where the camera is. It should be such a coverage. So it was a really challenging task for this. For this scene, we are almost prepared many months with dummies and how to shoot the scene. Because it was so simple, because you're constantly going up and coming down and up. Sometimes it looks rehearsed. So it was quite difficult to shoot this particular scene. But my actors were wanting to rehearse and rehearse. We had that much of time. Shooting this was quite simple and easy. Camera were pretty much blocked. So I never used to, what I used to do is I walk into the set, I have the scene, I will just read the scene once, the way I visualized it. And then we will all move out of the set, my assistant directors, everybody. Now it's like a home and I leave it to these 3, right? And I say, you do whatever you want. So all the 3, including the man Friday, they will do, and Deepika will do something, she'll pick up, she'll go. So they'll do something and slowly, slowly, they get acclimatized in that space, And then they'll call me. I said, I'll come in. And then I'll see what they're moving, and then we'll fix the camera. So I didn't restrict
Blocking
them.
happens after your characters have got familiar
Yeah,
with the
in this
space.
particular film, I didn't restrict my actors at all. I said, wherever you want to go, you go, I'll come. So that's how it was. Because it was a film like that, where if I would have restricted them, they wouldn't have
But then when you
performed.
have such a constrained space and such unchoreographed movement in a sense, although the technical crew has done several rehearsals, how do you, how do you ensure that you don't, did it involve a lot of takes therefore?
No, so that's what I'm saying. So I did just rehearsals. It was done like a theater. So this whole film was executed like a theater production. Because all the scenes were long, so they will be given the scenes, and then I will just wherever I have to say and help them in terms of diction, in terms of the meaning, in terms of the background, I will keep, and they'll keep rehearsing. And 3 different schools. Mr. Bachchan is the one who will just rehearse even the comma and the dot and the full stop, everything he wants to know. Irfan, he just keeps mumbling. I don't know what he mumbles, but keeps mumbling, And Deepika will say one line and she'll do something, one line, she'll do something. And Deepika is like a 1 take or 2 take and she's done with. Yeah, Mr. Bachchan is also like that. And Irfan is another character who matures after take after take. He just, then matures and gives his best shot. So 3 different schools, and working with them becomes a little tough, but I think when they start enjoying it, like Irfan will want many takes. Deepika is done with 2 takes, and I said, okay, so it's a different process, so you'll have to get them all together and shot it like a theater. So it depends film to film. Like Madras Cafe was shot on a storyboard, absolutely on a storyboard. So everything was storyboard, and action sequences was storyboard. That's a different film altogether.
We're going to stay with craft. We're going to come back to story and theme again a little bit. I'm keeping this free-flowing. So Madras Cafe, like you said, thriller, and you created something that had to be sort of, that eye for detail. It had to be something that people believed in terms of authenticity, isn't it?
Yes,
Historical
because it was a sensitive issue. It was the issue of this Southeast Asia. It was the issue in Sri Lankan Tamils and the revolutionary groups and with the Sri Lankan army, and what was happening in this part of the world where the China was there, on the other hand, the Russia was there, and the US, and there was a dockyard, Trincomalee dockyard also, which was the main concern. So it involved a lot of political detailing of that time. So that's how I think this film was, and I had to create, I could not go to Sri Lanka. Earlier the film's name was Jaffna. Jaffna, most of you know where it's. I'll tell you a funny thing about Jaffna also. So, but then a lot of people could not get the meaning because, some of my studios thought this is too sensitive a film and people will not understand. So we did a research, and some students were asked, what's Jaffna? So somebody said it's a fruit. So, so my studio got shaken up. What is this? So I said, don't worry, a lot of people know Jaffna, so it's okay. So then and believe me, then my research was done in Indore and UP, in absolutely ground level, where I thought, okay, there
perhaps more politically
and they
charged.
got it right, and they knew everything about Sri Lanka, what's happening there. They knew about the Tamil fighters. They knew about what happening in Chennai, Madras, what the government had done. So all those. So, and I had to create a civil war. I have never seen a civil war. I have just seen civil war in
news
pictures from Illustrated Weekly and earlier magazines. And we could not go to Sri Lanka, Jaffna, because at that time, the war was over and it was too sensitive. They were scouting each and every part of the jungle. So I had to find out a location here itself in Kerala. We went to Athrapalli forest, and we went to outside Kerala, we went to Kanyakumari and Rameshwaram, and then created this. Yeah, you can just see the bit of the making, yeah. Lovely. Let's see. And action. So this uh, uh, film was really one of the most difficult films to shoot um, because I didn't have much budget and I was supposed to show an civil war. And so how do I show civil war?
But it doesn't look like a small film at all.
Yes, it looks like quite a bit of it's looked like a war film. Yeah. You know, it's the kind of canvas. Well, my expertise has been because of ad films, picking up, doing things, cutting corners, and making films. You know, so I managed this film. Absolutely much low budget, like a low budget film. This is the production of this film. I had just 40 soldiers, and I have got two jeeps and one truck, and then rest was CG. And I kept my shooting at a time when the Navy Day celebration was happening. So whenever my actor will go, I could see one chopper going from there. So I said, okay, that makes an expensive shot. So that's how that's how I made this. So people say, where do you get the choppers and this? And I said, no, there were no choppers. So in one of the shot, in the Navy Day, they were practicing in Kerala, they were having a chopper and they were lifting a jeep, an army jeep. And I said, okay, pick that shot. So they picked that shot. So it's like, so that's how, there's a special effect part in the film, I'll show you. And then we went to Kerala, and obviously we took, like a lot of people complained, not complained, who've been actually in Jaffna. And that no, some of the trees were not like that. Some of the hills are not like that. I said, come on, we are making a film, move on. Yeah. So don't look at that. And then casting of that film was difficult because of the unique faces, especially the Sri Lankan Tamils, and then faces here. And
you wanted to show ethnic difference.
Yes, exactly.
In the faces.
Yeah, just play this clip. See, Jaffna was like this. They were moving around. I mean, they had guns and they were everywhere.
There will be a whole new civil war. God damn it, this is not a game.
And I am not playing games either. I'm here because human lives at stake.
So it was purely Kerala and Tamil Nadu and parts of Kanyakumari, parts of Delhi. So that's how. And the old city of Kerala was turned into the city of Jaffna. Kerala means the old city of Cochin.
Yeah, so Fort Kochi basically.
Fort Kochi was actually, looks like a lot like the real Jaffna, the situation was. And you know, some places we could not shoot because of the gaudiness and the kind of refugees they were crying, you know, they were. So some of the images were really affecting us, even the unit members. So it was quite devastating shooting the film also.
So when you Madras Cafe, and then your first film, your first feature was Yaha. These are political films. Very different from Piku and Vicky Donor, which are relationships, slice of life, contemporary India films. It's just stories that interest you and you pick up what interests you, or are there two very clear different areas that you are interested in, and these are the two areas?
Yeah, as I said, I came from theatre. So theatre...
more political than...
it teaches you at least the films where you talk about social themes. You talk about, and at that time, Kashmir was, it's still, I mean, but at that time when I went there to make a documentary. So I was making a documentary for National Geography. So I was assisting somebody there, and at that time I saw Kashmir. And the story of Yaha came from a newspaper clipping from Indian Express, where army guy always used to be in a patrol duty, and he always, during the patrol duty, I don't know, have you seen Kashmir, Srinagar? It's really all surrounded, and it's really claustrophobic, So a soldier, if he needs to go to a toilet, he'll have to walk a lot, many distance to go and then, relieve himself. So this soldier used to knock this door on the back side of his whatever bunker was and ask, can I use the loo? So while he used to go into the loo and come out, he saw one hand coming out and offering a tea, and that was a hand of a girl, and so he fell in love with that hand. So that's the story was in Indian Express, and that's how I picked it up. And I really wanted to have my point of view through the film about Kashmir, and that's what I showed, Kashmir. There's a small sequence where this other girl, she wants to wear a jeans. Minisha Lamba. She just wants to wear a jeans. So when I went for a research of the film, I went to each and every village in Kashmir. I said, I started talking to all the girls. I said, what do you want? The jeans pehna hai. So jeans pehen ke jana hai. So I said, fine. So then I put that in the film. So how could I put that in film? So yes, political films, even Madras Cafe, I think it's really sensitive. I don't know how it passed through and it got released. I have no idea. I think it all depends. Are you trying to play it to the audience by sensationalizing it, or you are straight on the story? For example, in Madras Cafe, a lot of allegations were there. Which side I am taking? Am I taking the side of Anna, that is the Tamil rebels? I am taking the Sri Lankan army. I am taking the running government at that time, in India. So which side I am taking? I said, no, I'm just presenting a situation how a prime minister was assassinated with whatever decisions he took and what affected whom. So that's how it was presented. And believe me, it's still, I feel it's quite unbiased in terms of, there are political, it didn't release in Tamil Nadu yet. It released, but my highest sale of DVDs was in Tamil Nadu. So that's how it is. So political films, yes, some of films are political. I never thought I'll do a comedy or those real life Vicky Dona stories.
So are you saying that Madras Cafe, Yaha, these are the stories that actually appeal to you
yes,
personally?
absolutely, yes. Those are the films which I really,
wow.
I came to make those films. But then I did one more film, which called Shoe Bite, which hasn't released yet. That was a story idea by Manoj Knight Shyamalan, and so that's still stuck at in some legal between two studios. So whenever it releases, so 7 years the film didn't release. So I was a little depressed, and
So are you saying that your two most successful films, in terms of public perception and money both, are actually films that are not your first love in terms of the kind of subjects they are about?
Yeah, no, I came to make films like Madras Cafe and Yaha. So then I made Juhi, and then she gives me this, one night she calls me up and says, okay, I have a film idea. I said, what it is? And he says, it's a film about a sperm donor. So I'm silent on the other side. I said, because I can't think of it, so even but then I said, okay, I'll call you tomorrow morning. So all through the night, I went to the Google sites, and I started seeing, and I started laughing, and next morning says, okay, Juhi, chalo, let's start. Shuru karte hain, fir dekhte hain where it goes. Because it seems nice. I mean, I'd smile. I mean, I didn't. So then we started working on that film, and somehow the script started, cracking up. So, and we thought, okay, oh, here we are. The only thing we tried in that film, the Juhi, that we will not play with this subject, because this subject of infertility it's very, very sensitive in our country.
Shoojit, sir, I have to interrupt you, because if you remember Vicky Dona, it opens with, what's his name, Dr. Baldev.
Dr. Baldev Chadda.
Dr. Chadda. It opens with Anu Kapoor, Dr. Chadda in his clinic, seedy outside, but nice, clean, neat inside. And the opening credits are going on. And he's talking about the uterus and the organ, and it's somehow the tonal quality of the film on so sensitive as in terms of people's emotions, so difficult because we're so squeamish about anything to do with sex as a nation. And there you are, without making fun of it. How did you achieve that tonal quality?
We had decided that with this film, we were playing absolutely on the edge. if you'd have gone a little that side, it could have become a slapstick and played with. So we consciously made that we are not playing to the gallery.
This is the script again, at the script.
At the script
this is where
stage
it
and in the
is hammered
performance,
in.
because in the performance also sometimes you can go overboard. So there also we started controlling it. We should not go overboard. With Mr. even Chadda. So Chadda, and let me tell you, in Delhi there are millions of Chaddas. So you will find every Chadda in every Daryaganj, every street corner you will find one Chadda there. So I know Delhi, I've lived there for 17 years, so I know how Delhi is. And you will find a wiki in every Lajpat Nagar, in every Malviya Nagar area there, of that kind of a boy who doesn't know what to do in his life and somehow gets something and he does. So even Dolly and so everything was written, so they were there, so in that kind of a character. So we were consciously not trying to make fun of it. So for me, yes, audience laughed at it. For me, it was a serious thing they were discussing. It was quite serious. I mean, when he goes and requests him, okay, you become a sperm donor, obviously he doesn't know what to do. He asks him, are you nuts? Are you a bad character? Or what kind of a doctor you are? What your intentions are? So that's how he thought. For example, when we kept it so real. For example, the first time he walks into his clinic and and doctor says, okay, now go there, and gives him a small container. So.
And the nurse, you know, the way the nurse plays it.
Yeah, and the nurse says, okay, here's the dabba, here's sign, here's the, ye karo, wo karo, and give it back. So how I shot that scene was, I said, Ki, that scene we will try and improvise. So I put one camera, like a office camera on the top. So
like a security camera.
Like a security camera. And Ayushman said, ab karna hai, sir, ye scene karoge aap? Maine haan karenge. So kahan tak karoge? So मैंने बोला तू अंदर तो जा फिर देखते हैं. So go inside. So he goes inside and said, then he says, and then he cut the shot. No sir, इसको मत करो इस scene को. मैंने बोला तू ऐसा कर. Then मैंने क्या बोलता? Then he said कि sir ऐसे थोड़ा ही होता है. तो मैंने बोला चल ठीक है तू यही just यही dialogue बोलना बाहर निकल के. And he comes out. He doesn't know what to do. He comes out and tells the doctor ऐसे थोड़ा ही होता है.
And then he gets aided. He gets the aids.
Yeah. So that scene was, if I would have gone a little over and that would have spoiled the entire film, But it was just controlled at the right
and
time.
At the first attempt when he goes in, it's all long shots, isn't it?
Yes. And then when he gives the magazine, we cut it. Then we don't show what it is, and he comes out.
Yeah. So Ayushman was okay. He survived that. But for me,
another thing was, Chadda, Mr. Anu Kapoor, he's one of the finest actors we have. He could. I don't think anybody else could pull that load off.
Get the casting film ready.
Yeah. So he didn't laugh in the entire film. He made sure that he became. I told him that you are one doctor, passed out MBBS from Rohtak. So Rohtak is a place in Haryana. So your language you don't know, but your medical language is perfect. So you know what you're talking about. And he, I think, abide by that, and he was quite he behaved like a doctor.
I thought there's one clinching dialogue in that, which is where he goes to their home, and I still remember it after all these years. And he says, sperm donation is legal in India since the time of the Mahabharata.
Yeah.
And and it's just such fantastic writing, acting, directing, everything, because he says, "Oh, Rishi Muni aate the, tathastu," he says, and then with his hand he's doing this. It was just, I want you to sort of, take us through that scene.
Me and Juhi were discussing with the films in terms of the storyline and this. So one day this thought came to me because I was just watching Mahabharata, Ramaran Sagar's Mahabharata, which repetition it comes. So obviously one guy did this and udhar bachcha paida ho gaya. So I said, Juhi, so why don't we, this system, earlier koi magic to hota nahi tha. So kuch yahi system hua, donation wala hi koi system hoga, but I don't know what it is. So that's how that scene came in. And Tathastu and that Rishi Muni, that it'll happen like that. So even the number of kids, there was a huge debate on the number of kids. So the calculations were done, how this will be done. So finally, it was 53 kids that comes through.
That was filmy license, right?
That's a little film. No, there's a real case in France where he had 500. So he doesn't know. I mean, so there are bizarre cases. If you go to an infertility clinic and talk to a doctor, he'll give you some wild cases.
So 53 is not that much of
it's
not that much of
no,
creative license.
legally is 75.
Okay.
In legal sense, it's 75.
Right.
One person can donate.
Okay.
So that's how. So I get a lot of invitations from a lot of hospitals. What has happened after that film? Every hospital has opened up an infertility clinic. And all the lawyers are booked now after this film. The sperm word has become quite common. Earlier it was a taboo. Yeah. And they call me and I said, see, I am not an expertise in infertility or sperm donation, you know. So they think I'll give them some. So I said, whatever I saw from the net and whatever I heard from the doctor, I put it there. So now they started calling me that I know something on constipation also. I said, no, I don't know much about it.
So when you talking about Piku, did you think that you were making a film for just Bengalis? Because constipation, this feeling of what is it called when you're constantly imagining that you're ill? This is hypochondria. Exactly. Thank you. So that's a bit of a Bengali preoccupation, isn't it?
I'll tell you what. This is the first
No,
fear.
it extends. It's pan-Indian. Okay, lovely.
This is the fear my studio had at some point. Everybody thought this is a Bengali film happening. I said, yeah, it's a Bengali family, Bengali film, which I know. But I said, don't worry. This is everyday topic in everyday, everywhere in the country, every home, not here, anywhere in the world. So this is an old age problem. So they will get through. That fear comes because that fear was not there in the beginning. But there is a lot of outside things which comes pouring in your head that you have to be control yourself. No, this will work, and this will work. So yes, that I was told that this is very a Bengali film.
So my dad saw the film. He's 75. He thought he was the protagonist. He said, "Where did Shoojit Sircar meet me?" And he's poor chap. He's got diagnosed with Parkinson's. But his first conversation with his with his neurologist is, "Doctor, see this medication. Can you do something with it? Because my bowel movement is affected." That's the first, his Parkinson checkup, his regular checkup conversation starts with the impact the medication may have had. So, it's touched
I have seen this character, I told you. And I've seen the girl like Piku also, which every a girl in a cosmopolitan city, when she's working, and if she doesn't have anybody at home and her parents are there, even if she's working, back of her head, it's what the parents are doing. So she can't, even if she has to
Again,
get married.
Isn't it a Bengali thing? These Bengali women who are shouting at everybody around them?
No, I don't think so. I'm not. This I've seen in many. Even Juhi does it with father. So with her father, so they can't have a boyfriend. They can have a marriage. They don't have a settled life because who will take care of the parents? So the whole idea of this film was that one thing. At that age, you'll have to keep them alive. On their own, they don't live. So that was the basic thought of this film, and how and the responsibility is with us how to keep them alive. This is a present day problem, a very, very deep problem. So I think
what
they are
was the
suffering.
starting point of a film like Piku in terms of the story? What was the story you went to tell? Because obviously the story is not about a man with constipation. That's
No,
not the story.
It was a pure.
That's a device.
It's a pure father-daughter film where parents basically how in this present time how that loneliness is coming through and how they are catching hold of their sons and daughters and they think it's irritating because like Mr. Bachchan says, when I was small, I took care of you. I didn't leave you. So now I am small, I am old, you take care of me. So his logic was quite simple, straight, and she had to abide by it. And she believed it. She was irritating, but there was a lot of love, underneath. So it's a present day problem every day we are facing. So it's quite rooted, and especially here.
Let's talk about the romance. Vicky Donor had romance, more straightforward, more conventional, and then Piku had romance. Very little said. and you know, very, very lovely. I mean, I'm going to sound so stupid, but what the heck? Make Piku Part 2. Take us into that romance only. It'll just be so lovely to watch a contemporary relationship and marriage, maybe, that comes out of something like this. Would you think of it?
Yeah, I'll tell Jui tomorrow that you suggested this, so I'll tell her. I mean, if it comes, it comes. I mean, for many years, my studio has been behind me. Why don't you make Vicky Dinner Part 2? So I sat and I thought, okay, let me think over it, what can be done. So when it comes, it comes. So I didn't want to force it.
So romance handled differently, different situations, different stories. But there's one thing that's common to both these romances, and that is that the guy is from a different class, economic class. I don't mean less successful necessarily, but economically from a different class, and therefore, you know, in terms of culture, different from the girl who comes from a more genteel, slightly more intellectual, salaried class.
Yeah.
What is this? And your films, both of them, have ended up bridging this gap, bridging this class difference.
If you see, both of the characters are from Delhi. Yeah, because as I have grown up there, and I had nothing to do with, I said, from art or literature. So I'm a student of...
Are these men you, Shoojit?
No, BCom honors. I'm a student of BCom honors. My father wanted me to do IM and MIT and everything else. So he was shocked when I started going to theaters. So yes, these are more like me, the characters are. The way I have seen them, that I have lived, even Irfan's character. For example, when Irfan character, when we're reading, if you see, there's nothing. There is nothing in that character. But you know, the way he performed, the way he took the character, the way we visualized it. If you just read it, it's so flat and mundane. One guy who is an owner of a taxi fleet, and he's got nothing to do. He just gets stuck in this family. So then he became our bouncing board. Then I told you, whatever we want to ask this family, let him ask the same thing. कि ये ऐसे ही रहते हैं, ये करते क्या हैं, ये सारा दिन यही बात करते हो तुम लोग. So he is asking the same questions what I as an audience would want to ask. Yes, so in terms of love story, I didn't want it that, okay, we'll have to have a physical attraction or a physical proximity to show love. There are many ways to show that. That's why I explored in Piku that they don't meet. You don't know that they meet or they come together. And at the last scene,
give us another story. Take that story forward.
At the end, they start playing badminton because one day she could not play badminton. She was urging to play a badminton match. And then his father dies, and obviously he also has asked him, ki, when your father dies, what will you do? I mean, how will you take on with your life? He says, he's prepared me for that. So somewhere I left it open. I let the people to imagine and make the story out of it. But we deliberately didn't want to make a love story out of it. Otherwise, we would have deviated from our main,
So that's
thoughts.
what I'm saying.
Yeah,
you can
so
do another one. Okay. I'm going to get off this. So tell me, I heard Irfan say something quite interesting. He said that he said something to the effect, and I'm paraphrasing, that the audience seems to be open to having things not said, unsaid. Are you feeling that as a filmmaker and as a storyteller, that you don't need to spell everything out in the construct of this really expensive business called movie making, that you can make stories differently?
Yes, I think I'm slowly maturing in terms of making. I'm also learning while every film is done. But yes, I think a lot of things unsaid. I think people and the audience is clever enough, intelligent enough to see beyond the scene, into the eyes, through the eyes. They can see through. So I think yes, unsaid is much. It's a lot of things that you see in Woody Allen film. If you watch Woody Allen films, I mean, there are a lot of things just he doesn't spell out, but you can make your own story and you can find the history behind it.
Nobody talks as much as they do in his films.
Oh,
they
yes.
just talk, isn't it?
Yes, he was a big influence in this film also for Piku for us. So yes, so I think he's a big example to see that a lot of things unsaid, but people get it, audience get it. Yeah.
You've said somewhere that beyond the Friday first show, nothing works apart from the content unless it's a Salman Khan film. Are you, is this after Piku, or is this a belief that you've had
I have
consistently?
this belief, a consistent belief. This is a consistent belief that because um, I don't think you can fool an audience will buy a 200 rupees ticket and go and watch a film just because Shoojit Sircar has made the film. No, I think it is purely because if I'm able to engage the audience or not. And if they get engaged, they will watch the film. Even Madras Cafe has done the kind of film it was, the kind of business it has done. It's quite huge in its own category, where many people have no idea about what that time was, the youngsters possibly. Yes, I strongly believe that his films, like for example Salman's film, work definitely on the work. But beyond Friday, a normal film, a film like ours, the kind of film we're making, if the content is not engaging enough, no, I don't think it'll work.
So you feel good about the audience you're reaching out to with your stories? See, because the pressure is always on the storyteller. Did you tell us a good story? Did you tell it well enough? You have to deliver. I'm paying and I'm giving you my time, so you better perform. But do you flip this sometimes? Do you evaluate your audience? Do you wonder whether we are worth telling stories to?
Yeah, I think it's not that, I've also grown up watching films. I've also paid money and went to the theater. I've also watched a film like Mridal Sen's Ek Din Pratidin. And also I made sure I watch a French film, Amor, in a theater, not from a torrent downloaded video. So that's my choice. I wanted to see. I want to see Gravity, go in a theater and watch it. Yeah, I don't want to possibly watch certain another Hollywood spectacle because I am bored of it. So it's a purely choice. So I also decide that way, and the audience also decides a similar way. Okay, here is Christopher Nolan's film, and I have to watch this film. But then after watching the film, you have to take the responsibility also. So so it's like that. It's very give and take.
But you feel good about the audience? Like I was quoting Irfan from some place, and he seems to be quite excited about, or at least very optimistic about the fact that the audience is ready to hear and see certain kinds of stories.
I'll tell you what, it's pretty simple.
Don't worry, we will still buy your movies, even if you say we are stupid.
I'll tell you it's pretty simple for me, when a film research is done, nowadays what the studio does is that you make your film and they make the films in a focus group. And those focus group results are hilarious. It's just hilarious, those results are. Sometimes it works, possibly, I don't know where it works, how it works, but those are hilarious results. So, frankly speaking, I don't bother. I only bother about the cost. The day my film breaks even, I definitely go out and party with my friends. I said, fine, my job is done to the producer. I have recovered his cost, and I could make the film the way I wanted, and the way the subject. For example, when I was making Vicky Dona, I will not name them, but there are some A-list stars who looked at my face. I think they smiled and there's something wrong with this guy, with the Ayushman's character, Vicky's character. So they were not ready. Then I went to a studio. So they couldn't understand that film. So the sperm donation film, to chalega hi nahi, it will be adult, all those things. But believe me, even the censors gave me a UA. They got it, and there were a lot of women there so I thought, this is definitely going to be an adult film. But the censors gave me an UA. So then I have a production house of my own and do ad films. I said a lot of money, I got it, and I started the film. And when I started the film, so somehow John came in and John joined in, and then a studio came in. Then the film was made. Then they saw the film. So, and when the studio watches the film, you don't know. They're watching the film, they're laughing at the film, they're looking at the money that's coming in. Where it's a confused preview happens, and the filmmaker is like nothing. You are just down there, because then they plan the marketing, and then we'll do this and that. And you have to fight everything. And that film was done in 4.25 crores, which is absolutely low budget in this sense. it made around 70, 72. So the day it crossed it, I give a damn.
You had a big party.
Yes, I give a damn, and I think possibly that's how you can make a film on your own terms, if you can recover the cost.
So there are 4 films out now that you've made. Each one sort of more successful than the other, and I mean that from every perspective, every angle of success, not just money. Is it still a struggle to make a film, like you said, on your own terms?
Yes, it is.
It continues to be.
Oh yes, it is a struggle, obviously a struggle, because
but you're now the Piku director, and you're the Vicky Donor director, and the
fine,
Madras
that's a
Cafe
baggage
director.
I'm carrying, but still for me to make a film and convince somebody, okay, they will possibly have, but finally I am the one who has to deliver it. It's in my head. They have no clue what I'm making. Till the last final cut of the film is coming up, you have no clue what's the film is all about. The actors does not know how the film is going to. The writer does not know. The studio does not know. I have packaged shots, and okay, they like the shots. Oh, very good, very good. But finally, when I see the film in front, and then you will know what the film is, because it's all in my head. So it's a big responsibility there. So yes, you can make film on your own terms, but still you're always skeptical about few things, and that is a big struggle.
Internal struggle.
Internal struggle is there a lot. With studios, possibly the money will flow in, but still the kind of subject, it's not that, okay, here is the money, you make the film.
So on your own terms is the catch point. So
yes.
It's easier to make a film.
Yeah, like for example, the coming up films which I'm going to make, I know I'm going to go through a lot, because they're again not on the conventional bracket at all. They're absolutely out of the box.
Do you want to tell people what to expect? Is this something?
No, I mean, again, possibly I'll come with a drama, maybe another political thriller, whatever. The many things I'm working on.
You really want to do political thrillers and drama, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And is the audience interested, excited by it? Because Madras Cafe was a good experience.
Yes, it was a very, very satisfying experience for me, Madras Cafe. I could make that film. I'm happy that I could make that film. So that's why, yeah, it is a very precious film for me, Madras Cafe. But the politics were absolutely hardcore. So it was nothing peripheral. There was nothing soft. It was straight to the point what you're targeting home. So there are many people sitting there in the political scene. They're watching you. So obviously you have to be careful about that.
Okay. All right. I think we'll share Shoojit now with you.
I'm Raj. I represent Bliss Unlimited, a company. I wanted to know from you, Shoojit sir, that you mentioned about FGD and research. And I know for sure, having worked with you for a small project, you are blessed with the wisdom to gauge what works and what doesn't work. But there are a lot of filmmakers, I know for sure, at the scripting stage, when they go through it again and again, a lot of things stop working for them, which worked once. So pretty confused which one to keep, which one not to keep. And there's a saying, you know, one filmmaker may not represent the masses. So at that point in time, even in the post-production, after edit, if you have the option of chopping, you don't know which one is working because you've seen it so many times. A lot of filmmakers go through this. So do you suggest the FGD and the research would be of help? And did you use it by any chance in any of your films?
Yeah, all my film are researched film because the subjects are pretty much are there in the social medium. So, and they all have some kind of issues attached to it. Even Piku had have a medical science on bowel movements and how the, and then basic research on families and how the people behave. Madras Cafe had a huge, Yahan was a Kashmir completely. You see Yahan, there are many small things which talk about Kashmir, about the problem of Kashmir, about the solution of Kashmir, what the people of Kashmir believe. I've traveled quite deep inside Kashmir, everywhere. And there's a different view altogether, what we think, we're sitting here. So for us, it's just, okay, Kashmir, okay. They even don't look like us. They look like completely different. When I took my cameraman, he said, this is also India. I said, yeah, this is also India. I took him to Northeast, he said, this is also India. I said, yeah, this is also India. So at that time, so then I took him to South. He was a Scandinavian cameraman. So I said, he's asked me in South, ye bhi India? I said, yeah, this is also India. So how did you manage? I said, Bhagwan bharose chal raha hai abhi hai. So, how did you manage? So he asked me. I said, I have no idea how it is running. It's running. Yes, if your research is right, you'll not go wrong. At least in your logics. And film sometimes, especially if your issues are there, those logics has to be absolutely correct. Nobody can point out those logics. Because people are pretty aware of a lot of things.
Hi, Shoojit. I'm Kanika from Bangalore. You know, coming from a theatre background, you said a lot of stuff happened on the spot. How much of the script, let's say for Piku or for Vicky Donor, was completely locked in, you know, with comma, full stop, absolute dialogues, and how much was it improvised?
Piku, very few improvisations. Very, very few improvisations. Piku was more or less, I'll say 98% or 99% locked in.
Even Irfan stuff?
Absolutely, everything.
And even that, you know, where he's in the petrol bunk, the scene you talked about.
It was locked in.
That was locked.
Oh,
so
locked in.
So it was described in the
was,
script.
yeah, it was written on the script. So me and Juhi had decided we'll do it.
Okay.
But we didn't tell Mr. Bachchan what is the scene.
Okay.
So we went to the location, and a day before we said that scene, because I knew अगर पहले बोलता तो शायद वो मना कर देते हैं. बहुत सोचते हैं उसके, because you know that scene is very difficult for a superstar to do it.
Yes.
So we thought, I mean, he's a legend and a superstar. Will he do this? I mean, because it's quite a lot of people didn't like it when we were shooting it. When the trailer happened, showed the trailer, a lot of his fans have sent me a mail. How can you let him do that kind of a scene where he's peeing and you're showing him, you know? Yeah. So I said, then you see the film, you watch the film. And I think after watching the film, they had so yes, everything was. In Vicky Donor, you will say, yes, almost 90, few improvisations were done in Vicky Donor, yes. But more or less, Vicky Donor was also locked. Madras Cafe script was a little differently done. Madras Cafe, we knew the events, because it was purely a political. Everything in Madras Cafe, let me tell you, is real. Apart from Vikram, what John plays, every incident is a real incident. You will find in some newspaper or some research or Jan Commission report or somewhere you'll find it. So that were locked in.
Okay.
But some scene designs happened separately.
Okay.
Yahan was scripted.
Okay.
Everything was scripted.
So
I believe in a bound script. If I don't have a bound script, I will not start only pre-production or go with my actors. I need to have a satisfied script myself, read it, and know, okay, now this looks like a film for 2 hours. I mean, so my agenda is very simple. To my writers, technicians, everything, and actors. 2 hours, I want them to sit. I don't want to bore them.
Right.
So that's my target is. So in whatever scene and whatever way I work out. So that's how I work.
So when you said the script is in reading quite boring to read, you can visualize it because you know what your film's going to look like.
Yeah.
How do you get the actors to see that vision when they're reading something that's...
So as I said, when I first day, I never thought Mr. Bachchan or Deepika will do a film based on constipation.
Yeah.
Because stars don't talk about constipation. So when I gave him the script, Mr. Bachchan, he was in London, so he read the script and he came back, and me and Juhi are eagerly waiting. So we get a text, okay, we need to meet. So I go there. So and he opens the first page, and I see a lot of pen, and you know he's marked everything, you know, because he reads the script once or twice, and believe me, he knows which page, which dialogue, where. He's so so good with script. You cannot fool him with any of that. And then he said, Shoojit, this is I am doing nothing in this, and where is this? And I have to say this. I am a constipated character. So I saw a lot of apprehensions coming in, what exactly I am, because he didn't know. And also, one film that he and me had done is not released, so which is a full-length feature film. And then I am going to do a film which is about constipation. So so then next day I went back home. Me and Juhi sat, and a lot of 2-3 nights we spent. What to do? When if this old man does not do it, then who will do it? So So then he says, okay, let it be me, myself. I'm a little jarred from inside, So I said, okay, let me go. I said, okay, sir, I'm coming. Can you give me 1 hour? Yes. And then I go there. And I start performing Bhaskar Banerjee myself. And I act. He asked me, hey, tu acting kiya? Tune practice? I said, I'm actor nahi hu. I am just doing it for you. And I narrated.
What did you do? Can you just show us what you did? A little bit. No, a little bit.
No, it's on.
You did theater, okay? Come on, little bit.
So for 3, I gave each and every character's brief and I performed the whole scenes in front of him, first 3 scenes. And then he had no questions about it. And he said, okay, move on. And he's doing it. So see, they needs also a hand holding because they need to know what the vision is. So,
But I would have thought that Amitabh Bachchan, yes, Shoebite didn't release, but not because of not because of your ability as a director. And you've done all the Gujarat films with him, isn't it?
No, see, but still, Piku is not at all a film for the Bollywoodish kind of a way. It cannot be like that. Even when the idea came only, then only we thinking, can it be a film? Can it be a film, a film about a constipated old man and his daughter?
Actually, Shoojit, you know what has happened is, I think I'm talking with the benefit of hindsight. I'm seeing a complete film, and I'm like, how can they not see it? But when you went, when you have a story which only you can see. And
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
That's
Yeah. With Deepika, it took me just 5 minutes. He asked, I told her, see, I am not here. I have to come to meet you to give you that, okay, now there is a brilliant role, the brilliant dresses you're wearing. Because she came, I met her around 12 o'clock in the night because she was shooting Tamasha and she came in from the shoot. And she was just the way she was at home. She came in her pajamas and just, I said, this is Piku, just keep it like this. So she said, Acha, really? And she was also good. She said, okay, I'm also quite comfortable. I said, then bring your clothes also. So, and I narrated one scene and she was on. So she was quite good.
Okay, so there are a couple of
Hi.
We'll get a mic here in the meantime. Yeah, go ahead.
Hi. So my name is Roshan, and I'm going to ask you a little bit of a generic question. That is, apart from, like you said, watching Satyajit Ray movies, what are the 3 things that you would say are most important for an actor to work with you?
Oh, with me?
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, it's not, nothing. It's all done by my casting agent, my casting director, is Jogi, he does that. But normally, if it's roles fit somebody and he's a good actor, and most of the time, I go for actors, not for models, so that's how it is. So basically, casting directors.
My name is Sandeep. I just wanted to ask you, what has been the most difficult scene you've shot, and maybe the easiest scene also? And who's your favorite actor you like to work with? You always love to work with.
Let that last question be out because there are many of them. One of the most difficult scenes, the 2 scenes which are on 2 films, one was the Piku's last scene when Bhaskar Banerjee dies. It was a lot of things were going on my head because normally in India we have a habit of, in real life also, to go overboard and shout and cry and make a mess of it, So go over dramatic and melodramatic. So that's the difficult thing for me and Deepika to crack that scene. And I think that scene was so beautifully performed, and I'm so happy, glad about that. I didn't go overboard on that scene. That makes the film more, and also the last scene, how to end the film, where they're playing badminton, you don't know what's going to happen. So to think about this particular, this was most difficult. And in Madras Cafe, for me the most difficult scene was the assassination of the Prime Minister. In my whole set, everybody, after the blast happened, camera were holding, everybody was on the ground, there was blood, bodies were torn up, and the Prime Minister, because the huge blast, it was a self bomb that this woman was carrying, and they were really dedicated rebels, and she just blew this up. And that scene, because we remembered, because we have seen, I remember that morning when I woke up, and then in the newspaper I saw that particular image. So everybody was numb, and after that, we could not work, and John was on the side, he sat just with his head down, because that visual was so real. If you see the film, it actually was the assassination site. So that was another difficult, but we somehow managed and we moved on. So these are the two scenes, and you get stuck in many scenes. Yeah, you get stuck in many scenes. But if your script is right and you have visualized it correctly and you know where the characters are, then I think it moves on. Another difficult scene was, but my actors made it more really easy, was the Vicky donor when both the women were drinking. So they were not touched liquor in their life. So I don't know. I said, have you ever taken drunk whiskey or anything, wine?
Both of them?
Both of them.
Seriously?
Seriously, they have not touched. So I said, करना क्या? और तुम छोड़, हम करेंगे कुछ. Then both of them went into some room. So I said, I just gave them a brief. So then both of them came, BG and Dolly जी. मैं बोला, मैडम करें क्या? तो मैं बोला, मैम इसको तो ये एक ऐसा सीन है जिसको रोक नहीं सकते. बोलते नहीं हम भी नहीं रोकेंगे यार. तो तुम कैमरा लगा दो. तो मैं ठीक है. So then I put my camera, and in that scene I put my camera. I said to cameraman, कि यार just find a block where we can see everything, mood is right, and let it be. And they both of them started. And they would not stop. I said, what are they happening? And they were really behaving like drunkards, absolutely, So, and believe me, that was only one take. So that scene is one take. And I never, because they were so brilliantly, they did it so well, and that's a cult scene actually for them.
But did they drink at all for it?
No, it was just simple colas and things. Okay. Obviously not. Obviously not.
Hi, Shoojit. So, there are a few references you made to emails that you receive from people, from your fans, and you mentioned it a few times. So, apart from the validation and sometimes critique, as you mentioned, I mean, could you tell me a little more about this engagement? Do you find that it is useful for you in order to maybe sense what your audience is? I mean, does it in any way influence stories that you write, or does it sort of help you in other ways apart from the critique and the validation?
You see, I'll reiterate again that, I myself is also an audience. I also go and watch films. If I watch a Mrinal Sen film or a Tapan Sinha film, and that engages me, and I understand that film, so why not an audience, when I am making a film, will not get it? So my logics are quite, I don't make it too complex on that audience. If I am trying to understand, if I am getting the scene, and if I am getting the background of the scene, I think the audience will get it. So that's how I absolutely treat it.
Shoojit?
Yeah.
Yeah, hi. My name is Aditya. In the conversation you said that despite the success of your films, you said it is difficult to, or you may find it difficult to make your next few films. And how is it like, there are a lot of filmmakers, who might be, who are aspiring or who are young and might look up to you and want to become directors. So for them, for aspiring directors or for newcomers, it is always difficult to make films which they want to, and there's always a struggle between what they want to make and what they might have to make. So what advice or what is it you would like to advise to such people?
See, this is yet not quite an organized setup or an industry. So there's an industry, yes, there is a money coming in from, but still he will not know what's going on in your head. It's like playing a blind. I mean, you'll have to play a blind on the director. Okay, I am this. Even Hollywood does so many films. They still don't, the films don't work commercially. Maybe critically it's worked quite well. Sometimes both the films don't work commercially also and critically also. So my advice is very simple. You have to find your own source. You have to be clever enough that, okay, I can pull this off. You have to find your own money. You have to find your own actors. Pick up your own camera and just shoot. Thinking about it is going to not take us anywhere. So that's what I did in my first film. When everybody said, okay, Kashmir again, a film about terrorists and this. Abhi to Sunny Deol Paji ne kiya, fir aap karoge. So, so this is how the industry will talk. Now, if you have to tell the story, and you tell the story, so you pick up I somehow got some money from my friends and everywhere else, and I started making that film. So that's how you move on. So that's the basic advice. And yeah, I'm not any expertise on that, how you make a film or how you should move on your career. I just pick up, if I feel like a subject I can tell a story, I give my full throttle on that.
And if I may add a tip, make ad films in between to keep the home fires burning.
Yeah,
I mean, you know, you do have to give credit to this really long, deep career you have as an ad filmmaker.
Yes, I made more than 500 commercials, so. But it came to
500 commercials, no name, 5 films, 5 films, 4 films.
5 films, actually. 4 films.
Yeah, 4 releases.
Yeah.
And
I produce also now. I somehow I produce some Bengali films I produced. They have also worked quite well in terms of commercials also. So I keep doing it, but I do the films, also produce the films I like. So it's very, and commercials have taught me a lot of techniques, has sharpened my skills in terms of storytelling, and obviously given me a lot of money to live happily.
well, that's. We already had a. Okay, come on, what the hell? Yeah.
Content is the king. Just a hypothetical question, if Piku would have been made, the same content with the newcomers, what do you feel could have been the fate of the film? Would it be difficult to find a distributor to release at that scale and getting the audience watch it? Even
See,
the
that
content
film,
is good.
it's not an expensive film. Piku is quite a cheap film. Expensive is because of the actors. Most of my films have new actors and new directors. Sorry, all fresh faces. So I am ready to take that gamble. Few calculations that I have done in my mind in terms of from the theater and exhibitions. I know where I can just break even. So that calculation is very clear in my mind. So when I do my productions. So when I budget my films, that's also quite key, how I budget my films. So it would have worked or not worked, it's very few. But I was absolutely ready to move on with the film without the stars also, if they would have said no, because I wanted to make that film.
But did you have to struggle very hard to find a distributor for, say, for example, Vicky Donner?
Oh yes, it was. I told you when I didn't had a producer before John came in. It's just John came in because he was starting his production house. He said, okay, let me do this film. I asked John, you will not halfway, you will not run away, you know, because I was scared. Nobody would understand that film, as I said, Vicky Donner, because they thought I'm making a very C grade, that kind of a double meaning comedy. So I asked him twice, don't run away from the middle. He said, no, I'll finish the film. And that's how Eros came in. Eros was there, but I think they understood the film after it got released, when people started reacting, oh, I thought acha film hai.
I think that's the end. Well said, Shoojit. Thank you so much. We wish you a long journey. Many more miles to go, and for all of us to be fellow travelers. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Thank you so much. Good evening. Enjoy.